All right, today we're going to unpack a really fascinating puzzle from the tech world, one that had Wall Street completely buzzing. It's the incredible story behind Micron's massive billion-dollar surge.
So, picture this. It's early 2026, and a lot of companies are feeling the heat. But one stock just explodes. It's soaring, totally defying all the market trends. And the big question on everyone's mind was pretty simple. Why? What in the world was going on inside Micron?
To really get the answer, we've got to start with the core of the issue, which was both a huge problem and, it turns out, an even bigger opportunity, the AI memory bottleneck.
Okay, so at the very heart of this whole story is a piece of tech called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. Now, the easiest way to think about this stuff is like the supercar of computer memory. It's its incredibly fast, high-performance RAM that is absolutely critical for powering the kinds of advanced AI chips that companies like NVIDIA and AMD are building. And you have to remember the context here. By late 2025, the AI revolution wasn't just some passing trend, It was a full-blown gold rush. Every single major tech company was in a frantic race to build the next great AI, and they all needed the digital equivalent of shovels and pickaxes to do it.
And that created a huge problem. The demand for HBM from all these AI giants just went vertical. We're talking exponential. But you can't just flip a switch and make more of this stuff. The global supply chain just couldn't keep up, creating this massive bottleneck right in the middle of everything. There just wasn't enough of this high-end memory to go around for anybody.
But you see, that bottleneck, that industry-wide problem, that created the perfect opportunity. It set the stage for Micron to make a big bet that was about to pay off in a spectacular way. So the market was just buzzing with rumors. All the analysts knew this memory shortage was happening, but nobody really understood the true scale of it. Then came December 17, 2025. Micron released its quarterly earnings report, and bam, the market got its answer, loud and clear.
$13.64 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That was Micron's revenue for a single quarter. It was an absolutely staggering, record-shattering number that just blew every single expectation out of the water.
And to really put that into perspective, look at this. Just 1 year earlier, their revenue was $8.71 billion. So to see a leap all the way to $13.64 billion, that is just a monumental year-over-year surge, and it was driven almost entirely by that insatiable, desperate demand for AI memory.
And it wasn't just revenue either. Look at this number, $8.41 billion. That's the amount of cash the company generated from its operations. This shows it wasn't just about selling more. They were selling it at an incredible profit. They were practically printing money.
So how? How did they pull this off? How did they manage to turn a global supply chain problem into record-breaking profits? Well, it all comes down to the simple and incredibly potent power of scarcity.
You don't even have to take my word for it. Micron's own CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra, he laid it out in the plainest terms you could imagine on their earnings call. He just came right out and said, our HBM is sold out for all of calendar 2026. Think about that. Before 2026 even began, their entire supply of this critical part was already bought and paid for.
It all boils down to a super simple law of economics, right? When demand feels like it's infinite, but your supply is very, very finite, you hold all the cards. You get to name your price.
And here is the hard proof, right in the numbers from their own report. Take a look at their cloud memory business unit. This is where all that HBM gets sold. Their gross margin, which is basically the profit they make on every sale, jumped from an already really healthy 51% to a massive 66%. That, right there, is what pure pricing power looks like on a spreadsheet.
So this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. What does all of this mean for the future? Let's take a look at what the analysts are saying, the 2026 verdict.
Well, the consensus from the experts is pretty clear. This HBM shortage is not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's expected to last all the way through 2026. For a company like Micron, that creates the potential for another 50% or even more in revenue growth. But, and this is the big but that everyone's watching, it all hinges on flawless execution. They have to hit their production targets without a hitch to actually deliver on all that demand.
So, if we boil this whole wild story down, it really happened in 3 simple steps. First, the AI gold rush created a massive, industry-wide memory shortage. Second, Micron played its cards perfectly, ramping up production to meet that incredible demand. And third, that very scarcity gave them immense pricing power, which translated directly into those record-shattering profits.
And all of that leaves us with one final and really crucial question.
This was Micron's moment, for sure. It was a perfect storm of opportunity and execution. But as this AI gold rush just keeps getting bigger and faster, who's going to win the next memory race?